Alright, welcome back. So today we are going to be looking at implementation of Eigrp. We'll head to the lab in just a few minutes, but before we head to the lab, let us I always like to go over the concepts, because the concepts with the concepts, that is how you know what is happening in the lab, and with that, troubleshooting will come naturally to you. So before now, we have looked at a basic overview of what Eigrp entails, so everybody knows what Eigrp is. Eigrp is a enhanced interior gateway routing protocol, advanced distance vector protocol, Cisco proprietary, forms neighborship, exchange hellos, and keep alives. For neighbor formation, remember we said that if we had a router 1 connected to router 2, it's going to send a hello message to the multicast address, and once this guy responds with his own hello message, they can now start talking via unicast. So that is how that happens. We like to look at what the network statement, because when we are implementing Eigrp, we are going to say router Eigrp, then we give an autonomous system. Let's say our autonomous system is going to be 100. So once we do that, we now have to specify the networks that we want to advertise inside of Eigrp, and the keyword to do that is the keyword network. So assuming router 2, let's say this link is a link 10.1.12.0/24, where this guy is .2 and this guy is .1. We can easily now come here and say 10.1.12.0 to say we want to run Eigrp on this interface. Subsequently, if there are other networks that will also want to run Eigrp on, let's say router 2 has a link here 2.2.2.2/32, let's say it's a loopback, you will also need to give the network statement as 2.2.2.2, like that. So Eigrp can give the network statement in two ways. Either you give it like this, or you can still write it like this. Network, you give the exact IP address of the interface, let's say in the case of R1 10.1.1.12, and say, and give a wildcard mask to say focus on all of these interfaces. Any interface that has this network, send out Eigrp advertisements on that network, and also listen for what, and listen for hellos. Advertise that network and also listen for hellos on that interface. So that is what that is that. So what the network statement really does is that decides, or what word will I use? Okay, it determines the network to be advertised into Eigrp, and number 2 is that it also determines the interfaces via which Eigrp updates and advertisements will be listened for on. I know I'm using two things here to explain myself, but I hope you can understand what I mean. Okay, that is that about the network statement. For packet types, Eigrp actually has different packet types. They are namely, one, we have the hello packet. That is what it's first sent for neighbor. Let me clear the screen here so we can. Packet types, we said one, we have the hello packet used for neighbor discovery. Number two, we are going to have the update packet used for route advertisements and updates. In case if a link goes down, you will use the update packet to tell a neighbor that a link has gone down. Or if you get a new route, you also use the updates to tell the neighbor, hey, I know about a new route. Number third packet type is the query. A query is used to ask neighbors about lost prefixes. Like I explained in the first video for Eigrp, if an Eigrp router loses a route, it's going to send queries to all of its neighbors, and its neighbors will in turn send queries to all of their neighbors. Another type is the acknowledgement packet. So for every packet Eigrp sends, it also requires an acknowledgement. We are familiar with the TCP/IP, so we know about all of those acknowledgement and acknowledgements from our neighbors. Last but not the least is hello packet update query. Reply packet. So when a query is sent, the reply packet is used to reply queries. So these are the Eigrp packet types that we have. So I'll line them up in a way that is going to be hello packets. We have two. We have update packets. We have three. In no order, we have query. We have reply. And the fifth type of packet that we have is the what? Acknowledgement. So let's head straight down to the lab and see what we've got there. I'll clear the screen right now. I'll show you our topology. So be using Eve to propagate Eigrp in this network. In this domain, we are going to be running Eigrp autonomous system 100. So we'll do a basic initialization of Eigrp network statement and all. So without further ado, let us move straight into the lab. Grab my okay, so I think I'll actually zoom in here so you can see this properly. Maybe I don't think you're seeing it very well. So I'll zoom in again. Okay, I believe it should be fair now. Yeah, so I think I've zoomed in so much. Yes. Okay. So before we start, I always like to look at what I have. Actually reduce this zoom. This zoom looks to be hope you can see. So I'll say do show IP routes and please include connected. So to initialize Eigrp, I'll say router Eigrp 100. I'll say no auto summary. I will talk about the impact of auto summarization when I deal with the next video that will be coming up, an upcoming video when we'll talk about summarization. We'll talk about manual summarization and auto summarization. So I'll say network 10.1.12.0. We'll also say 1.1.1. So router 1 is advertising that on all those links now. Router 2 should follow suit. Show IP routes. Please include connected. Yep. And straight away we see the neighbor formation happening, and adjacency has happened. Router 2 has just discovered a neighbor by the name of router 1 with this IP. That's router 1's IP address. So let's continue and get Eigrp running on all of these networks. I like to do this so that I have a look of all the networks that I want to initialize Eigrp on. So since I'm initializing on all my links, I can even do this. Let me actually do a much more easier way. This is the key if I wanted to run Eigrp on all my links. So subsequently for all the remaining routers, I want to run Eigrp on all the links. Say no auto summary, and I'll say network 0.0. And this will initialize Eigrp on all the links router 4. Okay. While that is coming up, so that is how you initialize Eigrp. Router Eigrp autonomous system number, and then you use the network command to show which networks or which interfaces you want to advertise for Eigrp. In this case, I'm saying Eigrp, I want to advertise it on all my links. The same thing I talked about auto summarization in Eigrp. It has in RIP, it has the same effect on Eigrp. But when I'm talking about manual summarization in the upcoming video, I'll also explain it for Eigrp once more. So that is why you actually don't want to allow auto summarization whenever you are running any of these protocols. So I'm actually done. So here I should be seeing a bunch of routes coming from Eigrp, and all of these routes, they are represented with a D. All of these routes are Eigrp length routes, including these guys. All these are Eigrp length routes. So let me narrow it down to say show IP routes. Show IP routes Eigrp, so that only Eigrp routes are shown. So you see all the routes that router 7 is learning from Eigrp. So that is how you initiate Eigrp. But in our topic, there is a little thing that is remaining, and that is the concept of passive interface. So for instance, let's say this link on router 5, there's a link on router 5 that leads to the local LAN. This is the local LAN that router 5 is connected to. And you want to advertise this link or all these networks, advertise all these networks into Eigrp, but you do not want to listen for Eigrp advertisements on this interface. Remember what I said the network statement does. The network statement will, 1, advertise the network into Eigrp, and number 2, it will listen for updates. So this interface, we do not want it to listen for updates to form neighborship, but we want to advertise it into Eigrp. So the easiest way to do that is to use what? A passive interface. A passive interface will stop the neighbor, will stop that interface from listening for updates. No listening will become cancelled, but it will allow this routes to also be advertised to other neighbors. So how do you do that? Just go to a neighbor, let's say to a router, let's say router 5. You can do it by default to say passive interface. You can say default, and once you say passive interface default, what it means is that all the interfaces on router 5, including this interface, all the interfaces, we are not going to be sending or listening for updates on it. So you can do that by default, and then the interfaces that you want to listen for routing updates on, you now say no passive interface, in this case Ethernet 0/0. That's the best way to do it, but for now we can just say passive interface. We can just go to router 5 and say passive interface loopback 0/0, although it's not actually an interface, but I believe you get the gist. So you can say passive interface. Loopbacks are not allowed for passive loopback 0. 1 minute here, 1 minute here. Okay, so okay, so that is how we advertise loopbacks. We say passive interface loopback, let me see, am I using loopback 0 here? So what we actually have is loopback 1, so passive interface loopback 1, and that is how I have disabled Eigrp from running on that interface. If I had said passive interface default, we'll lose our neighborship with router 3. That means Eigrp is no longer getting our neighborship, and that is why we have lost the connection or the neighborship with router 3. So to bring that neighborship back up, I will go in and say no passive interface Ethernet 0/0. I will be fine. So to bring back Ethernet 0/0, and our neighborship should come up. Voila, it's up. So that is the effect of passive interface. So you really want to use that when you have a local LAN that you want to advertise into Eigrp, but you do not want that interface or those networks or anybody. You do not want to form neighborship on that interface. So that will be that on this phase. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.